Chair Matt Schuler.
Here.
Alderperson Barbara Dorf.
Here.
Jim Blumrick.
Here.
Debbie Dean.
Here.
Kathy Hinkfist, I think has to be excused. And Melanie Parma, I believe also has to be excused.
Very good. We got a quorum. Thank you.
Oh, there's Kathy.
Here.
Oh, great.
Not something different. That's all. Kathy's iPhone. I should have recognized that. All right. We're good to
I'm
go.
sorry, I was talking and I couldn't tell if you could hear me, and then everybody was just chatting, so.
All right, we're ready to rock and roll. Approval agenda, please.
Move to approve.
Second.
Alderdorf, second by Jim. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Regular order of business, number 1. Consideration with possible action on communications from Alderman Johnson, District 9, to acquire properties on the 500 block of 11th Avenue for possible redevelopment using community development block grant funds from May 20th Common Council meeting. Jeff, you got her?
So this is a request for us to investigate acquiring properties. I did not see Alderperson Johnson here.
No, I don't see him.
No.
So I would just at this point refer to staff to report back in July.
So
I move to refer to staff to report back in July.
Motion made by Jim, second by Alderdorf. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, motion carried. All right, number 2. Consideration, possible action on obligations of developer to development agreement 17-04 Nature's Way at 3466 East Mason Street, tax parcel 21-71-2. Kevin,
All right. Yes, that is me. So all things, we still have development projects going on. And so we're very excited to have been working with Nature's Way. I guess Commissioner Schuler probably has known about this longer than I have, but they are continuing to have their expansion of their plant. Their new health food production facility is up operating, and now they are looking at an additional structure to put in some office space. And so that will house additional employees. And again, this is an expansion. In addition to their existing offices in the I-43 Business Park, they're will continue to grow. So we're very happy to see that happen. And so part of that process involves working on approving some additional obligations. We did the original development agreement back in 2017 to construct the original health food facility. This new 2-story office structure is going to be about 44,000 square feet. We're estimating the increased incremental to be about maybe additional $4 million when this is all complete. The original agreement provided an opportunity to add or contemplated additional expansions. But with that, we felt it was appropriate to go through and just gain approvals in terms of updating sections regarding the concept plan, construction documents, and the development budget. The developer has been good in all the obligations so far, but we felt it was appropriate to bring these through for approval today. We also have representatives, including Mark Nelson with Nature's Way, who is available to answer any questions that you may have. With that, staff is recommending approval of these obligations.
Matt, I understand business is booming.
We're awfully busy right now, Gary. We'll just kind of leave it at that. But yeah, it's really, really busy in a good way for us.
Right. So what are the changes, Kevin? Could you highlight that?
What's the difference from the prior?
Great.
Sure. So what's being proposed, and I believe it's on sheet 10 of your, right before that, there's a picture of the existing manufacturing facility that's completed. On page 10, it shows a conceptual site plan where they're proposing that additional 44,000 square foot building. So that building will be closer up to the corner of Mason and Erie. There's also potential for an additional expansion onto that building in the future. but this one will bring a closer street presence and provide the office space. It will be a separate structure from the manufacturing facility, but it is part of the overall concept plan. And then right after that, there's some renderings that show what this building will look like once complete. And so what we needed to do is, since the scope has changed in terms of the concept and what's being built there, in order to get this to also qualify for the TIF incentive, we're asking for amendments of these construct concept plan and budget to show and reflect that this structure is being added. So yeah, pages 10 and 11 show the additions that are being contemplated today.
Okay.
The primary difference of the office expansion is it was originally planned to be connected to the manufacturing facility, and now it's going to be a standalone building with some parking in between buildings. So like Kevin said, to actually get a little closer and have a stronger street presence, so that the office building is kind of the first thing you see, as opposed to just the manufacturing facility.
Okay.
I think it sounds lovely, and I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay. Motion, any other questions or comments?
Yeah, I have a question. Kevin, can you refresh us on the additional TIF obligations we would have then?
So it doesn't change the back end obligations. We're still waiting for the full value of the assessment on here because it's done by the state. So we have to wait for the state to run their numbers. But we did have a cap on the original agreement, I think on the back end of $3 million, which is not inclusive of the property transfer. So it doesn't change any of the back end. It just provides some more value in order to get to that number faster than maybe it is.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions or comments? If not, Matt, I assume you're going to abstain?
I'll just abstain.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Congratulations, guys. Good luck.
Hey, Gary?
Yes.
I would compliment the architect or whomever designed that building. It is a snappy looking office building.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I thought the same. Definitely. And you got plenty of land to expand some more, right, Matt?
There's always room and there's always appetite to expand more, Gary.
Thank you.
So keep taking your vitamins.
Right, there you go. Thank you. Excellent job, guys. Excellent job. Keep up the great work. Thanks. Okay, number 3, consideration of possible action on second amendment to loan agreement with 304 North Adams Green Bay LLC regarding the Hotel Norton at 304 North Adams Street, tax parcel 12-148. Kev, this one you and I were talking about. Please give us an update.
Yes. So we need to go forth. As you know, we have a loan with the Hotel Northland. We went through in 2018 and basically redid a whole bunch of the documents between the developer and the city, which was really a result of the receivership that happened. And basically, all the new obligations are with 304 North Adams, Green Bay, who is the new owner and operator of the hotel. So one of those agreements is a loan agreement, which involves, it's a specific Housing and Urban Development HUD Section 108 loan. And what that did was provided $4.7 million into the project to help get it completed. There's a chunk of that money that it's been set aside, just under $600,000 at the reserve account, and just provide some little funding for administration. But about $4.1 million went into the building itself. With that, there came some obligations with using, because it is HUD money, and part of it involved job creation. And so this entity was, as part of receiving a loan, was required to create a certain number of jobs. The initial agreement, and part of the two amendments here, the initial agreement said 160 jobs. That agreement was constructed or done with the first developer, which was, in fact, even before my time with the city. But we would like to adjust that number from 160 to 135. 135 minimum that is required, then that is $35,000 per job, $35,000 that is required, or for every $35,000 lent, let me put that way, is required that one full-time equivalent be created. And that requires them to create 135 jobs. Most appropriate. And really from the original plan, I think they've worked on doing some efficiencies and in terms of staffing. And again, it's a seasonal business that comes and goes, but we feel that the 135 is more appropriate in terms of reflecting the actual amount that they actually need to create. Okay. At their last reporting, and this was right before the pandemic hit, they were at 128 full-time equivalents. So, right, you're just like so close coming into the finish line. And we actually had talked in January pre all this to say, look, do we need to talk about an extension, or are we going to be on track to have these jobs completed by June? And we felt, look, things were rolling along just fine, and we're going to hit that, and then pandemic. And so that's part of the reason we're here to revisit and make this amendment. The second has to do with timeline for job creation. And the original agreement said 18 months from completion date, which was, one could interpret it as getting the certificate of occupancy, which was in December of 2018, which then meant that the deadline was June 4th of this year, or you could say full operation, which wasn't until February 14th, Valentine's Day of 2019, which then would push it out to August of this year. Either way, just based on where things are at right now, we're not going to hit that number, and so would like to push for extension. The request before you is to push it out until 2024, which seems like an eternity away. But after having some discussions with the owner and they having discussions with their colleagues and peers in the hospitality industry, this could be a long crawl back in terms of hospitality related businesses and in large gatherings and group events and business travel, corporate travel. It's not going to be a quick bounce back. With that, they feel like they could likely hit their number and get back to their number sooner than that time. But they also wanted to balance of, if you get another wave in the fall, they didn't want to have to keep coming back to this body to make those amendments. Staff is comfortable pushing it out this far, given that the loan that they have with the city, the payback period, still goes out quite a few years. I think it's until 2034, 35, and Director Ellenbecker can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't have the amortization chart in front of me, but there is quite some time that they have in terms of paying back this loan or obligation. So in talking with our representatives from HUD, they really said, look, this is an agreement between the city and the developer, and we can support, what you feel is right. We just like to see, it formally amended, so we're clear in terms of what the expectations are. So with that, staff is recommending the original agreement. The first amendment is in the packet, but we're recommending creating a second amendment, which would have these two stipulations, changing 160 to 135 jobs, and secondly, replacing 18 months from completion date to the 14th day of August 2014.
Wait, what's the 2014?
I'm sorry, 2024.
2024.
Yep.
Had they been making payments on the loan?
Yes. So Director Ellenbecker, I thought maybe it was on. Yep. So they have been current on all of their payments. We basically send them, first of all, about a year ago, we refinanced the loan to get a more stable interest and payment rate. Before, for all you econ nerds, it was like taking LIBOR and doing some crazy division, and so it was like bouncing all over the place. But we have a locked in payment schedule now. They've been current on all of their payments. We basically bill them, collect the money, and then pass it back through. It's through Bank of Mellon. With that, we do have another payment coming up. We have had some discussions with them. HUD is providing an opportunity to defer payments on the principal. And basically, you could take the principal and spread it back out over the other payments. However, interest would still be due. In our conversations with, we feel, or the developer feels that they could still continue to make the payments. But of course, in times like these, cash flow is very important. And so we'll have some further conversations with them in terms of how those payments would be good. Or the other, we expect them to be in good standing in making those payments. I don't know if Director Ellenbecker wanted to add anything else to that.
Nope, just to confirm, correct. Our next payment is due August 1st, which means we send it out the last week of July. We'll bill the hotel early in July to make sure we have the money so we can just really a pass through. And just to confirm, yes, the last principal payment is due in August of 2035. And they have been very timely paying their payments.
Okay, question. I have a question. So I'm trying to figure out the FTEs. It was at 160, you said, and they want to drop it to 135?
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
So they want to drop it by 15%?
Correct. So two arguments for that. One is 135 is the minimum that's required in terms of the amount of money that we lent them, and so they would like it to fit in with that. That the current owner now did not do this agreement, and they did not say 160, and they said, look, if we were involved in the original negotiations, we would have never said 160, or we would have not taken that much money. That 160 is a leftover, a holdover from the very first developer of this project.
Okay. That makes sense, Kevin.
It's been tough times for them, I'm sure, right now.
Yeah, I mean, we did have some conversations, early on about them potentially shuttering the hotel. However, I mean, they have managed to stay open with the bare bones staff, and we thank them for that because they've been able to, still serve a need in the community. But yeah, I mean, it's tough, and it's going to be tough in that industry for time to come. But we've been having good conversations, and again, throughout this, they've been very good partners. They've been timely on payments. We actually just came off a HUD audit of everything and how we were doing things. There's a few small technical things we on the city side have to take care of. HUD was very pleased with how this was going, and really, I mean, right? A lot of you were through the battle lines with it, right? And
yes.
you still have some scars to prove it. So, someone just say it's a miracle we got this thing done. And HUD is just, I mean, very, very pleased with how this project has turned out, and continue to tell us that, and really want to make sure it succeeds. And, part of that is doing here to make some minor adjustments to ensure their success in the future.
Entertain a motion.
I would make the motion.
Second.
Second amendment, the loan agreement.
And the motion are the two changes, one going from 160 to 135, and also extending it to 2024, August of 2024? Is that right?
Correct.
And I'll second.
It sounds like Matt made the motion and Jim second.
Seconded.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Any
didn't
other
hear.
questions or comments? If not, all those in favor, sing of
Aye.
Aye.
opposed, motion carried. Thank you.
Sure. And because this does involve this will go to City Council next week on June 2nd.
Very good. Thank you. Number 4, consideration with possible action on physical improvements to the KI Convention Center at 500 North Adams, tax parcel 12-163.
Sure. This one, we have been talking about largely capital improvements to the KI, and I know from time to time, Cheryl has provided an update along with Stephanie Schmutzer from our office in terms of where things are at. There's a list of things that we want to do to continue to make sure that's a top-notch facility. But you had a meeting this morning to discuss how things are going and how they're operating and responding, and still, working to do the best they can in terms of, booking events at the center, given all the limitations that are in progress. This, though, involves a potential real estate transaction. And so with that, this in closed session.
Okay.
Okay.
Matt, can you read the verbiage?
Sure. The authority may convene in closed session pursuant to sections 19.851 sub E Wisconsin statutes for purposes of deliberating or negotiating the sale of public properties, investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public before competitive or reasons. The authority may thereafter reconvene in open session pursuant to section 19.852 Wisconsin statutes to report the results of the closed session and consider the balance of the agenda.
Okay, is there a motion and a second to go in closed session?
So move.
I'll make the,
Kathy and Jim, first and second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye, and then we'll do a roll call.
Aye.
I,
Fine.
Roll call, please.
All right, Carrie Delvaux,
Here, yes.
Matt Schuler,
Here.
Barbara Dorf,
Here.
Jim Blumrick,
Aye.
Debbie Dean,
Here.
Kathy Hinkfist.
here.
All right, we are going into closed session then. So we can get that for the record.
And who's going to make the motion? We go back to open session? Barb
I can make it. Yep. Just
Now,
tell me,
second.
give me the signal.
and Kathy will second.
Yep.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right. So to go back into open session, Gary Delvaux,
Yes.
Matt Schuler, got Jim Blumrick,
Aye.
Alderperson Barbara Dorf,
Aye.
Debbie Dean,
Yep.
and Kathy Hink.
Yep.
Okay, we are back in open session. I will now entertain a motion, please.
I would like to move that staff proceed as directed in closed session in investigating the improvements to the KI Center.
Kathy, is that right, Kathy?
Yep. Second by me.
Questions or comments? If not, is there questions or comments? Not all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, motion carried. Thank you. Wow, excellent. Good work, guys. I think bottom line is going to be exciting.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so too.
Item 5.
Well, one person can leave if they have to, otherwise we'll sneak in number 5 real quick. Consideration of possible action on revocable easement to Smith Construction Services Corporation at 310 North Washington Street, tax parcel 12-86-1.
All right, it's my show today, so one more for me. This is just something very small, minor. Smith Construction Services, who owns part of the condos in the Bay Lake Bank building, would like to, however, doing so would require placement of an air conditioner, RDA-owned property. Because it's a little more substantial, even though it's revocable, I just felt it was appropriate to bring it here to get approval for this. This has been through legal and DPW, and we're comfortable with this, and so we recommend support approval.
Oh my gosh, what happened? So
Sorry, that was
is there
recommended tonight.
any cost to us in regard to their improvements?
We'll get $10 for the easement.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got it. Yeah, okay. We're giving them the easement. I'm sorry. Okay.
Correct, and it's revocable, so if we would ever pursue something with this, I mean, it can go away. This is not going to stop any future project on our site.
And
Okay.
it's a 30-day notice on the revocation.
Yes. Mhm.
Yep.
Okay. Move to approve.
Approve.
Second.
Second.
I think I got Jim. I got Jim first and Barb second.
Okay.
Any questions? All those in favor of approving the easement, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion.
Aye.
Excellent. Motion carried. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Alderman
Again,
and Jim, I believe. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 We are adjourned. Thank you, guys.
All right.